Hello, folks. How you doing today? Uh, thought I'd talk about remaining above the water. All religions discuss this in one context or another. Uh, the water, or being under the water, represents a person who is going through stressful conditions. Stress, anxiety, heartbreak, you name it. Fear. All these, okay, refer to a person who is underwater. Okay? And the object is, for such a person, is to rise up out of the water and onto dry land, which we can equate with heaven or knowledge. Knowledge. And we are talking about there a living individual who is going through these changes. And so when we say coming out of the water and going to heaven, we mean coming from ignorance to knowledge. Okay? And so this has to do with remaining above the water. In other words, don't sink. So we have this in the Christian tradition where Jesus walked the waters. The same thing, same principle. We also see in the Old Testament, Judeo-Christian tradition, where Job was carried through or over the water or through the water on top of the water to dry land in the whale's mouth. So the whale, okay, was his vehicle of passage. Often this vehicle of passage is referred to as a boat in the old tradition, the Kimite tradition and others. And we also see that the lotus plant, which carried the babe, the child, down the Nile River, okay, was the vehicle that carried him above the water, okay? But now this gets us into the idea of the properties of the lotus. We see this child coming down, there are pictures of this, coming down the Nile, okay? And some writers have said that, yes, this represents the child, God, Heru, bringing water to the people of ancient Egypt. Okay, that's sort of a literal interpretation because the Nile flooded each year, the annual floods, which was greatly needed by the people of ancient Egypt because it didn't rain there. They depended on the Nile. So that interpretation of the child coming down the river on a lotus, it sort of holds true for a literal interpretation, given the history of that country. But the Nile has other things that can be discussed about this. The Nile and the lotus. The lotus has certain properties. We'll say psychosexual properties, psychostasia, maintain equilibrium here, mental equilibrium, equilibrium of the mind, the psycho. So the lotus then, with its properties, okay, was conducive to a person raising his level of consciousness, enhancing his perceptual capacity, or the attainment of knowledge. The lotus was used by the ancient Egyptians and other folks for this purpose. This keeps the person, okay, let's say above the waters, as it did the child who came down the river on the lotus. But if a person, say, consumes the lotus plant, perhaps maybe informative with other ingredients. If a person eats the lotus, okay, it will keep him more or less above the water by creating within that person a condition of altered consciousness that increases his perceptual capacity, where he can see his way, for example, out of difficulties, such as the anxiety, stress, heartbreak, or whatever else it is that is troubling to a person. Because these troubles are indicated when it is said when a person falls or sinks below the waters. As we said, Jesus walked the waters. Job crossed the waters in the mouth of a whale. Okay? So this is mythology. Jesus walking the waters, Job in the whale's mouth. This is all mythology. The child Heru floating down the Nile on the lotus. This is all mythology that is telling us that a person need to keep himself above the waters or keep himself out of these troubles that we just mentioned. So given these properties of the lotus, there are other plants that are herbs that help, such as the red mushroom. These are also sexual, let's say, enhancers, but not for the purpose of sex per se, as generally thought of. This is for the purpose, even though it stimulates the sex or reproductive organs, okay, to create, for example, more semen, okay? But the semen wasn't used, in the usual way, for the usual purpose, whether it's for biological creation or for play, thrill, excitement. The semen could be used, okay, and be refined, okay, and we say transported to various parts of the body. Now, it is refined first, okay? And this refinement takes place as a result of certain exercises. We call them spiritual exercise, like yoga, for example. And semen then can be forwarded to the brain to nourish the brain and to increase perceptual capacity. You see. So there are breathing exercises that help with this. There is meditation, okay, that could be and were used with these sexual enhancers. Now, we see, for example, in the Kimite or ancient Egyptian mythology, where the king, okay, has a mace in his hand, a big club, like, and it's white in color. And he be hitting his foes across the head with this club. Okay? But this is mythology. It just doesn't, this didn't actually happen in the context which we're speaking. This is mythology that is telling us how to enhance our intellectual capacity. Because the foes that he is hitting with this mace, okay, are the very things that we just mentioned about, well, anxiety, stress, etc. The anxiety, stress, heartbreak, and anything else that causes a person trouble, okay, is indicated by the foes that the king is striking with the mace. Now, the mace itself represents refined semen. This mace is white. Refined semen is white in color, okay? And so the semen, okay, it is telling us that semen can be used to strengthen the person, to help the person stay above water, to help the person overcome his troubling conditions that we just mentioned. Okay. So that's the purpose of staying above water, because under the water there's trouble. Above the water we can say is heaven. In fact, under the water is referred to as the underworld, the hidden land, etc. Okay. Okay, thank you. We'll get back with some more of this soon. And thank you, and subscribe. I have a lot more to talk about, and I would like you to join me, you see, as I discuss these things. Okay, thank you very much.